even if it's not as many as we are with agents, even if it's not from, it's from all over South Africa. Let's say maybe the Sandton area, you pick different areas to say I'm going to sit with agents, because from the previous seating, we still are discussing the same things. That when I went home, I was very excited. I went straight after a week into the website to see if things were different. I logged a query and nothing happened. And I sent an email with my FFC, nothing happened. And I'm thinking, I wish at least there was, like other companies will get a response, even if it's an automatic response, to say we have received something from you. So I'm thinking, scratching my head, did they get it or not? Then I go on the phone, the same thing happens. So I'm thinking, like nobody answers, So you're thinking, okay, what's happening? Or the phone doesn't go through. It tells you there's a technical error. So I'm thinking, okay, let me give them a little bit of time, because really it's been like a week I've been to the conference in OR Tambo. It goes 2 weeks. I was even regretting that I didn't take your number, because I wouldn't think you'd be that busy if I remind you. So my biggest plea is that please this time, if I were to get you your details, I won't bother you. I'll just send you an email or a message to remind you of what I'm asking. I know it's going to make a difference, because we are very passionate about this industry, and we are happy of these new things that are coming up. We are happy about our minister. In person, as a person, I've had the opportunity, because I'm also a monitor of PMG. I see a lot of time online when I attend parliamentary proceedings. I know she works very hard, and I can promise you we're going somewhere. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, CEO.
Good evening, everybody.
Mrs. EJ here. Oh. Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, CEO, and protocol observe, and our fellow family in the PPRA. Good evening. I'm Mrs. EJ from Amalga Real Estate. We've spoken in Feb as well. And the thing about that, we always separate each other. I know Black, we come from that background, but it seems like we're going back to separate each other. If we look, each and every individual here, if we look at our IDs, we are South Africans. And I feel like you're coming out to the playground to play with us and have everything intact. I believe you're going to do what you're doing, and you've done well so far. So I want us to have a unity. Let us be the change. Just like the statement that was made, let us be the change of South Africans that see each other as South Africans and be the difference that we want to see.
Hi, good evening. It's me now.
Hello. Good evening.
All protocols are observed. There is a serious red tape that is happening in the industry that started just recently. So I got 10 learners. And these 10 learners that I got, the day that we arranged to meet and they complete the registration forms, they didn't pitch. So I was like, what's going on? Then I got one of them. Then she told me, no, there's another company that approached them and told them that they are international and they don't have to do NQF4, they don't have to do NQF5, they don't have to write PD4, they do everything for them, they don't have to bother about PPRA. It's just that my phone is off. I have the name because then I asked her to give me the details, so I contacted the company pretending to want to join them. So they sent me all the terms and conditions, and it is exactly as the learner said. And then when they followed up with me, I said to them, no, give me some time, let me pray about it, So, but it's a red tape, because now if somebody's coming up and telling people not to bother about the PPRA, not to bother about NQF4 and NQF5 and the PD4s and 5s, they have everything under control, they're international, people will go for it, and they give them a stipend to be recruited by them. So it's all in the terms and conditions. I'll forward that to Joe. And lastly, that's the very big red flag, because I lost about 10 learners that were going to be now part of my organization. And most of red flags, Tato, that we go through, we are blessed to have Joe. We graduated last year, most of us, as new principals, and we formed a group. So in this group, we asked Joe, the MC, to help us. We included him in our group, and he helps us a lot. So most of the red flags that you hear here are coming from the ground. It's speaking about something that we are crying to him about, things that are really happening. And I just want to say thank you to Joe for all the support 24/7, and thank you to Matume with Adams and Adams, because he has really been a pillar of strength for us, the new principals that graduated from last year. He gives us training and he gives us food when we go for training once a month. So, but just to say, all the things that Joe mentions are things that are coming from us as new principals, because he's in this group. We asked to include him in the group, where even the 80,000 estate registrations in the estates, we brought it to him to say, this is the challenges that we are facing. So he was there to say, you guys write an email, and then one of us took it to the radio stations, and there was an interview. So all the red flags are things that are coming from us as the new principals. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, colleagues, I want to request you that we allow the minister to respond to one or two things so that we can excuse her. She was under the impression that we will be done at 5, and she has been the most patient minister. So please, let's give it her.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good afternoon again. I think there are quite a number of issues. It was good to sit through and listen to the issues that are being raised. Yes, I do apologize. I have to go for another meeting. Otherwise, I'll be late for it. The first issue the lady who raised there will take the matters off, but the chief ombudsman is here because I was asking, how did it escape us as CISOs? So we've got to tighten up our issues. But the other matters I will definitely help. I think it's a citizen who's asking for help beyond just our own portfolio. It's heartbreaking to hear that some of the unlawful things that are being done. But we'll definitely reach out. My team has been in touch. I know we've already received some of the documentation, so I'll deal with that. What I pick up out of here as well, CEO and Chairperson, is that there is a need for us to have some level of inspectorate in the sector. So I do commit to implementing that, I think, out of this. Whether you talk about compliance issues, making sure that people keep to the areas verification and all those, and so that everybody can feel that there's fairness in the system. So I think there are quite a lot of issues that have come through more around people feeling there's unfairness, encroaching of mandates. People who are not supposed to do this are going in there. Those who are not supposed to be doing assessment or property evaluations are doing property evaluations. Those who are supposed to be not to be practitioners, property practitioners, are practitioners, the illegal practitioners, just to get us organized. And I think there are quite a lot of ways that we could be able to do this without compromising your budget. I'll have to come in and support you as PPRA. I think it's another thing that I noticed even with CISOs, because there's quite a lot of things that we've picked up. There is a need for me to have Lihle, my acting CEO there, who's our CFO at CISOs, will have to look at how we interface between what PPRA is doing and yourself. There is quite a lot of overlap, and I think as portfolio, as entities, you don't seem to have come closer to each other. So I would like to see that, but we'll have possibly this type of a conversation with the schemes so that we can sort out some of these problems that we are seeing that practitioners are complaining about. There is that need, but other things we'll have to facilitate as a sector. The issue of amnesty, I'll take it back with Minister of Finance. We've done it previously. It's not something that can be done, but it hasn't been looked into now. I'll raise it with him, possibly through PPRA, because I know they do communicate, will put out some notice of what the feedback is about. I can't speak with authority because it's not my line of functioning. And it's not done by the banks directly themselves. It has to be driven by Minister of Finance. And there are quite a number of things that they look at, but it's not something that can be done. So I'm hoping that if we have the conversation, they can give us a favorable answer. You'd know that it's not something that will look only at us. They will look at the whole, but I do think that it's something that you should pay attention. We know the impact of COVID-19. We had to do breaks, we had to do extension, but those things remain as a record against your name, that instead of finishing to pay, even if it's a property in 12 months, you extend it to 18 months, it's a record. And when they do credit evaluation, that's what will come as something almost like you have not been able to pay in time. So I think it's a valuable takeaway for me. We'll definitely engage with the Minister of Finance. I just want to appreciate this session, colleagues. I know we might not have answered quite a lot of things, all of them. I've been sitting with my 2 advisors there, but also my team has been here. There are quite a number of things that you've really literally given us as a takeaway that from the department will look into, from as well my engagement with the board. The board is here, the executives are here, we've had you, but it's not the end of the engagement. We'll continue. I committed to see you already. I think the 8th of August in Cape Town that will possibly have this. I've asked my team to ring-fence, to close that date, but we can also try and make sure that we extend. We might not be everywhere, but we'll try to level to make sure that we do issues. The issue around expansion, I think Tato spoke about it, the acting CEO. Presence is important and accessibility is important. So instead of us having a lot of money wasting, let's share offices. Share no Tato office nizopatali rent nobabili. So they can share rent, but because already we have the offices in George of PPRA in Limpopo and in Free State, I think. We can already start working and expanding on those so that we share the space and we can be able to be accessible, sharing of information and utilization, because some of the systems are the same. The disputes and all those things, the adjudication, they can be able to be accessed there so that we don't have long disputes that are not resolved in time. But I want to thank the board, led by the chairperson, the executive led by the acting CEO, and everybody else who is a stakeholder in this sector. We are where we are because of the feedback that we give us. I follow you on social media, as I said. I've been looking at some of you, you've never known that I've followed you, but I've listened to what you raise when you write. I looked at that, and that's what has made sure that even when I engage with the board, I'm able to ask them those questions. I knew that there were problems of exams because of how you'd interact in your platforms, but make sure that we utilize the engagement effectively and constructively so that we build a better sector. We might not be able to answer everything, do everything now, but Rome was not built in one day. I know we are catching up. There's a lot of catching up, and we have to move with speed, and that is what we'll do. So thank you very much, colleagues, for all these engagements. I really appreciate it. And please excuse me, I have to go, otherwise I'll be late for my next engagement.
Good evening, everyone. Minister, it was good to see you again. I think one of the things that I want to touch base, my name is Pamela Makubela. I sit on the board I'm the last born of the board. So I always speak innovation, and I always just want to make sure that we do hear you. I wanted to go back just to take Matume's hand a bit. He must not feel alone, because I'm a fellow conveyancer and notary as well. And we sit on a board, and I know there's a gentleman that was very concerned about what is happening between conveyancers and between agents and all that, and trust monies and so forth. And one of the things that we've done, because this is a new act, one of the things we ask for is that you have a bit of grace with us. It's going to have us see a lot of gaps in between what has not been happening all along, so that we're able to then align ourselves with the regulatory bodies on the other side. So for instance, you guys are regulated by the PPRA, but on the other end, you get the conveyancers, which are regulated by the LPC. So we we then, with the committee that I sit on, that sit on legal and compliance, we then went back and together with acting CEO to say, how do we then regulate that? For instance, I'll give you an example. There are agents that are usually saying that some conveyancers will tell them that we'll give you money for you guys to give us stock, right, to transfer them. Now, to regulate that, we need to get then into an MOU between the Legal Practice Council, which regulates that body, and then the the PPRA, which regulates you. So in that instance, we know that should you be caught in that instance, we're aware that you then will lose your license, and on the other side, there's an attorney who knows. Because right now, I think there is no consequence management, and that's what I want to give you the confidence of, that yes, maybe you're getting the brim of what you think we're doing, but as a large scope of the board and what we do on the ground, these are the engagements we're doing. And so engaging in those is giving us opportunity for us to clean up a little bit. And you know, when you clean, you start in the bathroom. You start slowly but slowly but slowly. So the village is not going to be built in overnight. But we do know that we need protection. We do know that we need to align with other sister entities so that you're able to be comfortable. Again, on the transformation issues as well, we understand that gated communities are going to mean that the transformation doesn't move, because we're giving you guys, they're then saying, well, if that gentleman cannot then get in, then it means that you cannot transform. And that's a way of gatekeeping it. As soon as you cannot afford 20,000 or 80,000, that's transformative in the language that we're using as well. So we are aware of all those things. And I just want to say that you shouldn't lose hope. We might not necessarily be coming back with that, but we're definitely talking about it. So we're going into the stakeholder. I know the new gentleman, transformation manager, as one of the transformation committee members. We've looked at how we can go back and talk to entities. We're going to one by one to those that we do know to say, please can we have a contact number, so that when we engage and we come together, we collaborate, there's an opportunity for us to do that. So I wanted everyone else to also walk out of here knowing that we are doing work about it. And if you find yourself in a position where you are mistreated by a conveyancer, we are aligning with a lot of entities that are from the legal space, that are from sister entities, whatever, so that we're able to say that once we lock in an MOU, we know what the consequence management is. Hence now we do see that you're distraught, that sometimes you report things, but they're not acted upon. But while we then do we get together and have a constitution or a treaty with the next entity, as soon as that person is notified that conveyancer Khatebe, which she is, and paid money to Ms. Ntsiki, then immediately we know what to do. Number one, we're taking your fidelity certificate. That's easy, you out of the system. Number two, you're no longer an attorney, out of the system. Then we start cleaning out this industry, because that's the biggest problem that we're seeing. I know Chair and I have spoken about this, that your biggest problem about this thing is that someone was a great economist, which I'm sure there's great economists that have come in with the same passion as in this industry, but they're not coming here to stay, because this is an industry that you're in and out. So we recognize that, and so we're working on it. And I hope you all walk out knowing that we're doing our utmost best, that by the time we produce our overall baby in front of you, you'll be very proud. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Babsi Pilane from Tsenolo Properties. I just want to find out, I don't know if this was answered, with regard to the fees that young people must pay, you know, for the fidelity certificate, for the FFC. I want to find out if there is a plan, or if there is a way of us employing them. They do not have the money to pay the 2,300. Is there a way that the PPRA can allow us to give them 3 months to pay off that to 2,300? I'm faced with a challenge like that with 2 young people, 25-year-olds, who are so eager to join the industry, but because they cannot afford to pay the 2.3 now, I said to them, we will find out from the regulatory body if I can employ them and at least give them 3 months to raise the money, you know, so that they can join. Because we are saying to them, guys, you can never, ever begin to even join me without you having to get the FFC. That's number one. Number two, we really need, I don't know whether to call it support, with regard to franchising. I don't know if the people, you know, like we've got businesses and we are not growing. We are not growing. We want to become the next generation of Pam Goldings and your Remax. But I feel like we lack knowledge in terms of how we can grow our business to a point where we can even franchise it. My question is there a way of mentoring the employer or guiding the employer in becoming or in franchising Tsenolo properties? Thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mmamoloko Kubayi, and I come all the way from Bronkhorstspruit. I've got a question for my brother there as a conveyancer and all the conveyancers out there. If you may just possibly help me with understanding, is it necessary to take a period of 3 months to register a property, and why, while there are other conveyancers that can possibly do it in a period of 4 to 6 weeks if we delay with all the paperwork and payments? Thank you.
All right. No, thank you very much, Madam Chair. All right, I'll start with the answer to the gentleman who was sitting there. I don't see him any longer, maybe he has left. But he said something quite fundamental, that how do I then just look at a person and say that they're not mentally well and ultimately dismiss the deal? So I think to a certain extent he has got the point, because I'm not a psychologist. I'm not qualified to check if somebody is mentally ill or not. But at the end of the day, as the conveyancer on the matter, I need to apply my mind and see to it that the people who are appearing in front of me and signing the papers are of sound mind, and they are able to follow what's happening. So if you are trying to have a conversation with somebody and then you realize they don't know what's happening, they are not even there, they don't even know that they're selling their properties, then it's a red flag. I cannot possibly allow that person to transfer their property. When things go bad, they're also going to affect you as the property practitioner. So in other ways, I'm also protecting you by doing so. But then again, I don't dismiss the matter. We help you to get the necessary help, because that's not at the end of the road. We still have processes in law where we can try and help you by appointing the curator bonies, and the master's office comes in there to help. So that's what we'll ultimately do. So that's just what I wanted to get across. And to your question, my brother there, transactions are not similar. It will take less than a month or so to register a transaction where there is no bond, where there is no bond cancellation. It's just a cash deal, and everything starts with you, ends with you. You don't have so much to do. But other transactions, you will have to depend on other attorneys. There is a bond attorney who still has to wait for the bank to give him an instruction, who still has to invite the client to come and sign and issue guarantees. And only when guarantees are issued, you are able to run with the process. So that might take a little bit longer than usual. But then what we are trying to do is to have sessions with the property practitioners and make them aware of all of these processes and how they actually work, so that they don't somehow put conveyancers under undue pressure. And if you come across a conveyancer who's not that experienced, they can end up cutting corners, and that can jeopardize your business. It can also jeopardize their career. So that is unfortunate that the way it works in the industry. Yeah, thank you very much.
Colleagues, thank you so much for your questions. We are sadly approaching closing. We are running behind schedule, and we are aware that some of you are catching public transportation, and we wouldn't want you to go home in the dark. But I will just like to answer Sis Babsi. So one of the challenges that I have posed with the transformation manager and also our team is we can't just look at the 4 elements of transformation, right? Your principalization, your candidacy program. We also have to look at a business enterprise model, right? Because you can't come into the sector and you don't know, how to sustain a business, That's one. So that's very critical, but I'm so happy that we've got the Werners in the room who have been doing this for 30 years. So I'm making a commitment to you that I'm going to go knock at the people who have been doing this for decades and decades and decades and say, how can we franchise? How can we take Tsenolo properties to Gauteng, to Mpumalanga, to KZN, the Western Cape, okay? And that's just to piggyback right on the previous speaker, Vuiswa earlier said, what are we doing as a PPRA to help practitioners scale up? Because we can't bring 100,000, 10,000 learners, right, into the industry to come and do what? We first have to take care of those who have been in the sector and say, Menziki, how come you're only in Waterfall, but you're not in Mooitloof? Then we know that when we're opening it up and we're bringing new practitioners in, they've got, you will have actually practitioners that will be able to work under your franchises, right? But a topic for another day is, and I'm posing it to you, so you can go and pack it and really think about it. Do we really have to have 1 million Tsenolo properties, like individual ones, right? Can we have Kolisi's properties, Tutuka's properties, Pamela's? Do we really have to have that? Because who are we scaling up to, to really now address the issue of transformation and scaling up? And then the issue of FFC is paid in 3 months. Look, if people are owing the PPRA money, we can talk about acknowledgement of debt. And Delia, I was hoping you would take this one. Could we do that for FFCs? And I will answer, because I wouldn't want, because then that's a red tape again. Where are we expecting these new entrants to get 3,000? So that's something that is definitely worth exploring. And then on that note, colleagues, I would like to call on, I'm so rude, my panelists. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Do you have a closing remark? You want to answer the last question? Okay, no problem. And then after you, I would like to call upon the program director, and then just for closing remarks, and also the COO, so that he can, give parting remarks and thank everybody who has participated in this room. Thank you.
Thanks. So I think the gentleman who initially asked the question about the credit bureau is just left now. But I think the industry in general is going through a phase of recovery where, because of COVID, there was not a lot of economic activity, and as a result, people's credit profiles suffered. Right. So if he was here, I just want to say that there is something we've been working on in regards to whenever someone has been rejected by the banks, we've got an alternative product which they can now still get a home loan, but not in the traditional sense, where they'll still be on the title as an endorser. And that's something which we can work on. And I think it's a product we will have ready in the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, where all of the people who've previously been rejected can reapply to get home loans through another product we are launching. And this was only possible through collaboration. And I think that's a big thing I want to kind of drive, is that, between PPRA and you as a practitioners, there has to be that collaboration, whether it's digitization, whether it's through the conveyancing processes, but there has to be a big drive for collaboration.
They don't need us. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm advised that there was a question around whether the international people do need us as the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority. Remember, we regulate the sector only in South Africa. If you're going to go to other quarters, like in the US, there will be additional education and training requirements that are prescribed by authorities there. So that's how far we go in terms of what we do. And it's actually focused. That's why we only focus on our land.
Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. Actually, any person who wants to practice as a practitioner in South Africa will do so under the auspices of the PPRA. Doesn't matter where you come from. You can come from Washington. You can come from London. But when you want to sell a property here in this country, you shall be subject to the regulation of the PPRA. So those people, we wonder what is it that they are doing. We would like to take a look at that. That's the case that was reported here. We should be able to take a look at it. There is no one who can undermine the legislated authority of an entity such as the PPRA in the country. So they must not mislead people.
Ladies and gentlemen, sadly we have to say goodbye, but I would like to just remind you of where we started quickly, that Rome was not built in one day, and the minister reiterated that point. This is actually the first step of the many more to come. We will invite you to sessions such as these. But I also want to leave you with this African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you really want to go far, go together. And what I'm essentially saying as I close is we're in this together. And I know I'm biased with this last two remarks. Transformation, in my view, is the way of the future. Transformation is sustainability of your businesses into the future. So with those words, I would like to call upon our COO, Dr. Soni Mangoba, to come and give the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Program Director, Honorable Minister in absentia, Chairperson of the Board, Mr. Ngobeni, Acting CEO, CEOs of the sister entities, management, staff of PPRA, esteemed industry stakeholders, good evening. Good evening, colleagues. My job is very simple here, is to thank all of you for being here, is to thank all of you for taking some time in your busy schedule to come and build this industry with all of us here. I would like to thank all of you that I've greeted here. And I would like to additionally thank CISOs for explaining their mandate to us. I would like to, on behalf of all of us, thank NHFC for also outlining their mandate to us. Thank the marketing and communication departments, both from PPRA as well as the Department of Human Settlement, the sound team, the catering team, securities that welcome us when we came here, the ladies in the reception that showed us this venue, and all of you that asked questions, the panelists, both the first panelist as well as the second panelist, and colleagues, I will also additionally would like to say that this is not going to be the last session that we are going to have. We are going to have more of these sessions, even if the minister is not with us. With those, But I would like you to clap hands for the Master of Ceremonies. I almost forgot, colleagues. I just want to share with you. I don't know how this man does it, but every time I come into the office just before 8, he's leaving the office. When I ask him, where are you going? He says, I'm tired, I'm done working. You'll think I'm lying. And then I'll ask him, but now you are supposed to start working. Then he says, as a transformation manager, my work is not here in the office, it's out there in the industry. So he's a hardworking man and he's working towards his PhD. I'm sure you've noticed the eloquence when he talks. And that Metro FM Sunday's voice. So thank you very much, Master of Ceremony.
Throwing me under the bus.
But colleagues, I would also like you to clap hands for the chairperson of the board and the whole entire board for changing the status quo to what it is now. Please. Colleagues, I would like you to also, for having the minister that cares about us, that cares about our frustrations and the commitments that the minister has made. Can we clap hands for the minister and the acting CEO? They say dynamite comes in small packages. The whole day, you will have noticed that our acting CEO was complimented for changing the status quo and leading the organization to what it is now. Please clap hands for the acting CEO. And lastly, but not least, colleagues, if we may please clap hands for ourselves for committing to build this organization, this industry, hence we are here. And please go well home and good evening. I thank you.
Yeah, it's been a long day, has it not been?